Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Kane. I am a 23-year veteran of the TV game, mostly unscripted television. So what you need to know about me is I am passionate about television, specifically unscripted TV. I started in the 90s at MTV, working my way through the ranks. I was a showrunner, I was an editor's development exec at Viacom, Fremantle, the BBC, Nat Geo, Discovery. I still have shows on the air on Bravo. So I've been doing this for a minute, and it's something that I love. And specifically unscripted, you're going to learn hopefully more than you wanted to know about unscripted television. The next great hit could come from anywhere. The barrier for entry is the right idea at the right time. Okay, so this is Introduction to Unscripted Television with me. I'm your host, Jonathan Kane. This is a genre that has done well for me, and hopefully all of you that are students looking to get work. I know there are professors out there that talk about unscripted and reality shows as lesser than, or if you can't get a job, making Stranger Things, well, maybe you could do Floor is Lava. And that sucks because these are great shows that can help a lot of people work, create story, tell really high wire act stories. So one real quick spin through this, it's a fallacy in my opinion to conflate unscripted with reality television. Reality is a subgenre of unscripted. Unscripted again is news and sports and nature docs. Reality TV is Jersey Shore and The Real Housewives, and that's fine. And neither one is good or bad. It's just what you respond to. But I'm just saying that to defend any of you that decide to tell friends and family that you're going to make an unscripted TV show, if they come back with it's reality, you're like, yeah, it's reality, and it's awesome. The unscripted skeletons. So when I talk about an unscripted skeleton, I'm literally talking about a framework on which to pack a TV. There are obviously a lot more than just this grouping, but these are kind of the big buckets that the streamers and the networks were looking for. Your variety shows. This is your Got Talents and the Go Big show on TBS. Pretty self-explanatory. Your news shows, they're news shows. Talk shows and court shows, your Judge Judy's, your Ellens, your Kelly Clarksons, your Drew Barrymores. Lifestyle shows are pretty much anything you'll find on what used to be Scripps Networks, it's now Discovery, Food Network, HGTV, used to be the Style Network. So it's food, design, Queer Eye is a great lifestyle show. Social experiments. This is the hardest genre to do right, but the one that every network is looking for the most. A social experiment is a show, a piece of content that only exists because a TV show said it should. Now, the Real World is the most classic example of this. The premise is right there in the opening credits. What would happen if 12 strangers moved in together because of an artifice of television and they had to get real with each other and live together? Jersey Shore, for what it's worth, they weren't organically friends. MTV brought them together. But dovetails perfectly into game shows, which is one of my personal favorite genres. A game show is any competitive show with a winner. Prize can be cash or it can be a mirror ball trophy, but really from Dancing with the Stars to Big Brother to Jeopardy, game shows are great because the stakes are fairly simple. Bunch of contestants, someone's going to win. Now you might be saying there's overlap. Obviously, Survivor is both a social experiment and a game show. Absolutely. Most good shows will have a lot of little pieces of these. Sandbox reality is exactly what it sounds like. If you imagine kids playing in a sandbox, imagine that producers built that sandbox and the kids playing that are your cast members. These are shows like a social experiment where, again, pretty self-explanatory, but these are shows that follow and document some action. And the big difference between a documentary series and a social experiment or a reality show is the hand of the producer is mitigated quite a bit. One easy tell on good doc series is your cameras follow behind cast members. They don't know where they're going. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you'll get a cutaway of them walking up. But for the most part, if the camera doesn't know, your director doesn't know what's about to happen, it's a good key to you as an audience that what's about to happen is real. Of course, it's also a really easy cheat that the reality shows know too. Right? Sports, again, self-explanatory. That is both the football game and Sports Center after that. Factual entertainment, which is my probably favorite genre after game shows. This is your Mythbusters or Good Eats. Shows we get to learn a little something. Usually there's a format. There's definitely a script. And I don't want you to think that unscripted shows don't have scripts. Carson had a script, but they are shot in a manner that allows for reality to take action. So last but not least, OcDocs or OcuDocs. These are documentary series that take place at an occupation like your Deadliest Catches, your Gold Rushes, your American Choppers, your Cake Bosses. The first reality show, which was technically 1973's An American Family, was a PBS show where they put cameras in a house in Malibu with a Loud family and just let reality happen. And it was very produced, and that PBS show gave us The Real World and the Kardashians. Okay, the landscape. Because we're going to dovetail from the unscripted world into development, it's imperative to know who is buying shows and who's streaming them. Now, this is as easy as turning on your television. Your obvious answers are your broadcast networks. These are your mass appeal, 4-quadrant TV for everyone's. Then you got your linear cable networks. These are targeted niche networks, your golf channels. And then you have, of course, the gorillas in the room, your SVODs or AdVODs, that's streaming video on demand or ad-driven video on demand, your streamers, Netflix, Hulu. We finally come to the most fun part, the thing that gets me the most excited, development. This is the art of creating and selling your own unscripted TV show. Whenever I develop a TV show or I'm pitched a TV show, I run it through, at this point, it's second nature, the 4 C's litmus test. Number 1, concept. Is this concept fresh? Basically, it's the idea. Does the market care about this? Cast. Does this idea deliver a great cast of characters? Now, again, this could be in a doc series, a not doc, a sandbox. Conflict. I assume those of you that are at LMU, but certainly everyone else who's been through school, studied drama. And the essence of all drama is a character on a journey overcoming an obstacle. So the conflict becomes those obstacles. And again, the conflict can be the questions in a game. It can be the course in a Wipeout. Or it can be in the world of Real Housewives, like who's the queen bee, right? Which leads me perfectly to choice. And this, I think, is specific, or at least unique to what makes Unscripted so cool, which is because they're real people with real emotions and real reactions, we live more vicariously through these characters. Think about things like budget. If you have a show that takes the entire cast and crew of Back to the Future and remakes it shot for shot, yeah, you can't afford that. And that also leads to schedule issues. If you say, I want to develop a dating show at Burning Man, cool, except Burning Man is, I think, a week or 2 every year. It's pretty limited, though. That means I get 1 shot a year for 2 weeks to get my entire season shot. Ad sales issues. This only applies to broadcast network and cable because most of the streamers don't care about proper ads. But keep in mind, television was created as the soapbox to sell soap. Compliance issues. This is a fancy word for fairness. On game shows, they are there to make sure that the producer isn't in bed with the contestants, make sure that shows that have winners is fair. Unfortunately, being a great show and passing the litmus test and knowing that the variables are all in line, it's just not enough. And why it's not enough? Because it doesn't matter how good your show is if you don't have a willing buyer. So the question you've got to ask yourself when you're developing your shows is there an appetite for your brilliant show? Who is the buyer? Who is the audience? And you got to stay on top of those market trends. What's Netflix buying? What's working for them? What do they just cancel? And tools of the trade, the most important tool of the trade is going to go back to those 4 C's. It's that amazing idea that you're all cooking up right now. But more specifically, log lines are going to be everything. Log lines and elevator pitch. Break down your show for a dummy in 2 sentences. What is your show? This is why those skeletons are so important, right? Another thing you can always do is say, it's this show meets this show with this kind of twist. The next step up from logline is one sheet. This is basically 3 to 5 paragraphs that break down your show with a little bit more meat. And then, of course, the next level up is a presentation deck, which goes through the who, what, where, when, why, and how of a show. Usually the page for cast, locations, again, top line, who is the audience, if they're brand integrations. You can get real granular with that. If you've got a doc series, sandbox reality, social experiment, factual entertainment, or other that is talent specific, casting reels imperative. Time, show me. Else with casting reels is remember that casting is a lot like love. You can never be convinced that someone's a good cast member, ever, but you'll know it instantly. This is something that you all could do right now. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've got a great veterinary clinic or baker or air traffic controller or mechanic that you think would be a great character for a TV show, get your iPhone, get your Android, shoot them. Get your camera. We're all in the film industry. Go make something happen. But if you're going to sell an American Idol, holy moly, a Shark Tank, you don't need the cast. You just need to sell the idea. Okay, so now it's your turn. I recommend that you keep the 4 C's in mind. Remember the skeletons. Make it personal. Try not to develop or pitch out a show that you wouldn't want to watch yourself or one that you don't deeply know people would want to watch. Then, again, write your log line, expand it to a 1 sheet, prepare a tape. You have all of the tools at your disposal. Crystallize your idea. Again, from your log line to your 1 sheet to your tape, get that idea so crystal that everyone will get it, will understand. And then this is, there's 2 little notes here. Run it by people you trust. I see this happen so often. Don't get scared about your IP. Don't get scared not to share your idea. wouldn't it just break your heart to never say the idea out loud and it never gets made? Or worse, you don't say the idea out loud and then a couple years later you see your exact show on the air. Your time is the only commodity you'll never get back. So I always recommend, if you know it's not right, cut bait, move on to the next one. There's always another idea.